Hi, everybody. It's very late and I want to apologize. And so I have 1,560, but it's 1,561 since it's so late. We're burning the midnight oil. But it just can't be helped because there's so many stories coming out and there's so many dots being connected. And, real things are happening. There's going to be another hearing tomorrow, and I want to talk about that. Also, we're getting new information about Richard's remains connected to Mario A. Alberto, I think. Mario Alberto, I think so. I think it's Mario A. Raskin Ortiz. Um, and, confirming what we have believed and what we've been reporting all along. Number one, that he's illegal. He's up to no good as the chief medical examiner for El Paso. He's up to no good, and those that put him in that position are up to no good. And, collecting upwards of $430,000 a year, probably more now, in taxpayers' pain. So I just want to make sure I'm on. It looks like I'm on. Thank you so much. And so the information is that we're getting is confirming that there is a connection between Mario Raskin Ortiz and Richard's remains. So that is, our goal is to get our son's remains, and our son's remains is huge evidence, huge evidence for what they did to him. And, that is one thing that the corrupt, compromised leadership in the military and probably outside civilian did not want to happen with the Vanessa Guillen case. They did not want to find her remains. Okay. And I know this because I talked to Texas EquiSearch in 2020 early on because we were denied by the CID, by the military, to allow the very willing Texas EquiSearch to search for our son. And we were denied. And so we were in communication with them and the Texas EquiSearch people that are absolutely amazing. Absolutely. Please donate to them. That, found the Pelican case in Vanessa Guillen's search. And they were so close. They had found that melted Pelican case, and they knew that her remains were very, very close. And if you don't know the case, Vanessa Guillen was in the military there at Fort Hood. It's now been renamed to Fort Cavazos. And I am very familiar with Fort Hood. I met my husband at Fort Hood. I was married on Fort Hood. Um, our first daughter was born in Killeen. Um, I taught school in Killeen. So I'm very familiar with that area. And so Vanessa Guillen, and there, of course, the leadership is at that time. They've changed things up a little bit now, but at that time, the same leadership over Fort Hood and Fort Bliss were the same. They overlapped. Um, but when they found the Pelican case, and the reason why there was a Pelican case is because Vanessa Guillen's body was in that Pelican case, which is like a trunk. It's a military trunk. Um, for deployments, it's used a lot for deployments and other things. But Vanessa Guillen, um, I believe, and I think it's on record now, that she was a whistleblower, and she was bludgeoned to death in the arms room with a hammer, and that is a very ugly sight. Lots and lots of evidence there, lots of evidence, and she was put in a Pelican case. And now my husband, being a physician assistant, thinks that was a very difficult thing to do. And they had to go to extreme lengths to get her in that Pelican case after she had passed away. And I want to be very sensitive because it's just so horrific and I can barely talk about it. But they have CCTV footage of the perpetrator putting the Pelican case in the back of the car, driving out to the Leon River, and his girlfriend, they went and got, shovels and um, concrete and lime and all of that. They dug a foxhole, and and they had to dismember uh, Vanessa Guillen, and they tried to burn her, um, which is very difficult to do. Takes a lot of time, and they put her in that hole and covered her with lime. And the reason why they do that is for smells, um, and and then they covered her with concrete and then dirt and leaves and things like that to cover um, the burial site. When Texas EquuSearch, now you have to realize that when she went missing in April, her family did not take it as that she was AWOL. Okay, they did not say that, and of course, um, they got some backing and they did the rallies, and a search then was forced. The CID was forced. Donna Martin, who was a provost marshal at the time, she's a total criminal. She was forced to do something, and so they searched, and they were really emboldened and um, thinking that they can bring in Texas EquuSearch and they would never find Vanessa Guillen. Um, and I'm making that's a huge accusation, and I know that I'm making that huge accusation um, because I've lived it for 4 years. They're uh, they're just so criminal. Okay. Um, and anyway, Texas EquuSearch did have success. It scared them to death because they found the Pelican case, and they knew that Vanessa Guillen's remains were nearby, and they were, uh, you know, very professional, very good at what they do, and you would think that the military, after finding the Pelican case, would double up and call in backups and more people and everything, all the reserves. Bring in the reserves. We are going to find our soldier, leave no soldier behind, right? You would think that they would do that, especially after they found um, Morales, right? They found another soldier's remains while they were looking for Vanessa Guillen's. It was just absolutely, um, you know, revealing of the criminal activity and the dereliction of duty um, from our military leadership and the negligence. So just, it's just really, really something. And they, instead of bringing in the reserves, they called a halt to everything, and they um, cut off any support to Texas EquuSearch and sent them packing home. They called off the search. the CID, the Army, called off the search. I mean, think about that. I have to repeat it tons of times because I just can't even believe it. They are just so, so criminal. And what happened following is that I guess the lime was not enough, and the animals started digging around where her remains were, around the concrete. And linemen saw it, saw the animals, and God wanted Vanessa Guillen to be found. And oh my gosh, you imagine that was in July, the same month that Richard was code red murdered, is when they found, well, it was at the very end of June, and they had to get the positive identification. They knew it was her, and they announced it that 4th of July. Um, I, it's just absolutely heart wrenching that our leadership actually does leave soldiers behind, and they leave more than soldiers behind. Look at Afghanistan. They left our service members, our Marines behind. So many of the people that are our allies behind. They left our equipment behind. And my bet, okay, everyone's betting right now with the election and everything. Well, my bet on the Afghanistan, why did they leave all of our equipment, especially the night vision technology? Why did they leave that behind? Why did they leave the vehicles behind? Why did they leave the aircraft behind? Why did they do that? I put my bet out that they had sold it. They had sold it. Okay. That's the criminal traffic that we're talking about, that Richard was so at for. Um, because nothing else makes sense. Nothing else. And the leadership is so bad, so criminal, absolutely criminal, that is that would be the bet that I would put in. Um, Getting back to Richard's case, because this is connected, right? This is connected uh, to, of course, the search for Richard, the search for his remains, the hiding of his remains, the keeping quiet that they had his remains. They've had his remains. We know that before October 26, 2020, when Nadal Baim walked into the Dollar General store and said you could take it down, he's dead. The FBI have found his remains in Mexico, calling a halt to Richard's case. And so we know that they had Richard's remains, because Nadal Baim is not just nobody, he's somebody. He's absolutely connected with the FBI. He's absolutely connected to the cartel. He's absolutely connected to Fort Bliss. His son-in-law, Lieutenant Colonel Bradford Bugado, in the G3 of the 32nd ADCOM. He's absolutely connected, which is Richard's command. And G3 is very, very important. They're the operational order people. And we know that he's connected to Western trading and selling ammunition up to, bidding for $3 million, up to $3 million in ammunition to the El Paso Police Department. Western Frontier Trading, thank you, my mind. And and then also to James Hart and Leilani Hart, all of them, and then of course to the high-class car business like Mercedes, which Richard, showed the picture of the vehicle and all of that. So he is so big in this case. Okay, he is somebody, and so we know that that is just one piece of evidence, lots of evidence that corroborates that they had Richard's remains, and now we're getting additional that Mario Raskin Ortiz also had a hand in that. And we have additional um, information because Richard was dismembered. And so, it gets a little complicated with that. Yeah. They did not want another Vanessa Guillen case. Okay. They did not want another Guillen situation. Quote unquote, we don't want another Guillen situation, where they put all of the dismembered body parts into one place, right? They didn't want that. They didn't want his remains being found at all. No chance of it. They were too bold there at Fort Hood area, the Killeen area, the Leon River area. They did not want to be that bold in the El Paso, Juarez area. Um, so the other information that we have is, um, well, there's a lot of evidence in the Walmart mass shooting case. It's very important to us because the Walmart mass shooting is, the cover for Richard Halliday's Truth. Richard Halliday's Truth is beneath the Walmart mass shooting case. That is very, very clear, and they don't want this case going forward. And there's evidence now and then, there's evidence that Joe Spencer and Judge Medrano schemed, colluded, um, agreed to backroom deals to prevent the Walmart mass shooting case from moving forward. And there's many different motives for that. One of the motives is to cover up Richard Halliday's case, the Fort Bliss whistleblower, soldier um, that is was murdered on Fort Bliss. That is one of the reasons, the motives. And there's the motives to protect, of course, um, the distribution of the Walmart victims funds. It is also the audits and the criminal trafficking. It is the orchestration of the Walmart. It's also election tampering. They wanted people to believe that Patrick Crusius is a white supremacist, that he's MAGA, that he's like some kind of, manifesto guy. And right now they have a lot of subpoenas for this hearing tomorrow. It's very interesting. And what are they concerned about? What are they fishing for with the subpoenas? And they are absolutely wanting to, with HIPAA, give the privacy to Patrick Crusius on his mental health evaluation. And I think on the interview of the mental health evaluation, so knowing that he is autistic now, that they've admitted that he has severe autism, it would be very, very, very important for us to know if he has verbal communication skills, if he has fine motor skills, if he has driving skills. These are very important because somebody that has severe autism, they do not have fine motor skills. And you see that on the form, his application for for millions of dollars of counsel that was approved of taxpayer funded lawyers, and Joe Spencer has gotten millions of dollars for his ill defense of Patrick Crusius, absolutely. And his injustice, his criminal activity, his unlawful activity in this case, towards the people of this country, especially those that live in El Paso. So Joe Spencer, uh, you know, I suspect that there's lots of reasons for him to be arrested, along with Judge Madrano. And there's evidence out there. There's evidence of you know him admitting um, to making these backroom deals. And I posted that up, and but there's also audio that wouldn't surprise us if that audio was to come out also in all of this. It wouldn't surprise us because it's a very important piece of evidence in showing the um, criminal activity, the unlawful criminal activity in the Walmart case. That is a double doozer, right? Well, it's a lot. It's more than that, because it's election tampering. It is a cover up of the murder of um, a, a Fort Bliss soldier. It is the covering up of the audits and the ongoing investigation at the time into the criminal trafficking. It is, you know, so many, so, a fear tactic to the people to get bonds passed for new police departments that are not necessary. Um, there's just a lot of motives behind this, and the more you know, the more it makes sense. Um, Staying in the dark is not good because when you have a fake chief medical examiner and you have fake judges that have no authority on the El Paso Criminal Law Magistrate Court, when you have a fake usurper district attorney, faking it, Bill Hicks is faking it. When you had the scheming to remove and replace a duly elected official like Yvonne Rosales, you see the political tampering, you see the election tampering, you see that they are covering up criminal activity. And then once you realize that they are compromised by the Juarez cartel, and then things really start to get interesting because everything starts to make sense of these connections with the El Paso Independent School District Police Department, with the Texas Rangers. Their connections are nepotism, with the El Paso Police Department, with Judge Madrano and his connections over there by the jail uh, district office, right? That where Richard's file was tampered with, um, and posted on social media. So, you know, and this is the real kicker. Bob Moore of El Paso Matters knows all of this. He knows that Curtis Cox, who was in the Yvonne Rosales administration, had already reported the ex parte, the backroom deals between Judge Madrano and uh, um, Joe Spencer. He already knew that there was a call for Judge Madrano to recuse himself, that Joe Spencer had done things that were so unlawful that he absolutely could be arrested. Um, and so I've posted those up, and Bob Moore probably knows that there are, there is evidence of Joe Spencer's voice um, confirming all of this. So that's what's driving. Here we have this evidence, and it's shocking evidence. It's big evidence, knowing that this case and what they're doing is covering up um, our son's murder case. Um, so everything is coming out because people are getting very, very sick and tired of being used and abused. Um, just think about the tax money alone and how the pain that El Paso has had to feel, and also the federal government money on that one. So, really unbelievable stuff coming out. Make sure that I hit on the bias of Bob Moore, knowing all of this stuff and yet defending Patrick Crusius. It seems that Bob Moore likes to defend and align himself with convicted criminals, right? With convicted criminals like Leilani Hart, like Luis Rene Diaz, like Patrick Crusius, and there's more, right? And not give a disclaimer on those stories, right? Not give a disclaimer, not tell the whole story, um, but to mislead the public. And then in Richard's case, a whistleblower soldier that was murdered, a murdered soldier on Fort Bliss, with a Gold Star family, they he showed no respect, no regard, uh, did not even ask for permission to use our son's picture, did not respond to over 15 attempts to communicate with him, to let him know about what we know about Patrick Crusius, about our son's case, about the tampering of Richard's files, that they are not reliable sources because they are confirmed tampered with documents. And and we have the truth, and we have the suspects, and all of what we know, and not to even be acknowledged by Bob Moore, but to be a punching bag for him. That he's attacking our family, attacking our son, and doing a smear campaign without communications with us where we could absolutely provide information that would confirm and clarify, um, Richard's situation. It is really, Bob Moore is in deep trouble, in very deep trouble, because he is absolutely knowing that Curtis Cox already had called out Madrano and Joe Spencer for their unlawful activity, illegal activity, and knowing that we have been trying to, we've provided him with all kinds of information, and yet he is compromised by the cartel. He is compromised by this rogue group, criminal group that are up to no good, and they are absolutely connected to the suspects of the murder of Richard's case, and he even used Leilani Hart as an unreliable source. Um, so it's very, very clear there's conflicts of interest there, and that he shows a bias. He shows a double standard for Patrick Crusius where it's necessary, so that they do not want to have a death penalty for Patrick Crusius. It's our position now. Our position is that they don't want to have a death penalty, because as soon as they had a death penalty, it would automatically go to appeals, and the appeals process would be a fine-tooth comb into Patrick Crusius, the Walmart mass shooting case, and they don't want that because Richard's truth is in that. So that is very important for people to realize. They don't want that, and so now they are, maybe waiting for the evidence of Joe Spencer's voice, right? Joe Spencer's voice up to no good. Maybe that's what they're waiting for all this to break apart. I don't know. Um, yeah, that's a possibility. So, with that, I want to say thank you, Nina, so much. Blessings, Mrs. Halliday. Justice for Richard. Thank you so much. And we're getting there. When we got information today about the chief medical examiner and Richard's remains, that was huge. That's really huge. And I wish I could tell you more. Very soon I will. We are corroborating that information, and we're going to have to document it. And of course, we put out multiple letters again today because of the hearing tomorrow. Um, of course, answering the ongoing investigations on Bob Moore. Um, but, more so, more so, um, because of this hearing. There's just so much going on. When you're thinking about the MAG Court, when you're thinking about the El Paso Police Department, when you're thinking about the El Paso Independent School District Police Department, when you're thinking about the Texas Rangers, when you're thinking about the Chief Medical Examiner, when you're thinking about the usurped DA's office, praying that District Attorney Yvonne Rosales will come out. Um, we're hearing information. Um, as like a Joan of Arc, right? Like a Joan of Arc. Come on out, right? Put on that full armor of God, and yeah, um, don't be afraid of these criminals. And when you're looking at Veronica Escobar, you're like, what the heck is going on with her? And we know. So there's just lots and lots going on, of course, with the FBI. And because of this election, Team 5 Richard Halliday, we have endorsed President Trump for this election. 4 years with Biden and Harris, it has been, they're stiffs. They're stiffs. They do nothing but have their little parties or whatever, and on the expenses of the country. And, the border is one example of that. Nothing was done. Nothing was done. And they're just, um, and you can tell that, we were hoping, listening to all the interviews of Kamala Harris, but what has she been doing for 4 years? She's a stiff. She must have been partying. She has no, she reminds me of Belen Rocha. You know, Kamala Harris reminds me of Belen Rocha. It's like, tell me memories, tell me your stories, tell me your experiences, show me the videos, show me this. There isn't any. Wait, if she's a prosecutor, where's the evidence? Show me how she can communicate in her prosecution deals, right? I just heard one that she went after a family because of truancy. What? What? So there's no experiences. Where's her experiences with the foreign dignitaries? I mean, 4 years. Where's her experiences with cases like ours supporting murdered soldiers? Right? Where is it? Did she support Vanessa Guillen? There is no memory there, and that's why I say she's a stiff, because nothing, and all they can do is is call names. And it's like, we're waiting. And, on the other hand, the opposite is President Trump, who 3 hours on Joe Rogan, one story after the other, amazing, absolutely amazing. He's a real deal. So, of course, we have endorsed him. Please go out and vote. Um, you don't have to vote with us, but it's um, our assessment on get, we want our son's remains and we want accountability. And that means that the wheels of justice have to move, and they are moving. They are grinding slowly right now, and you can see that with what's coming out. The Walmart case, it's just how greedy does Joe Spencer have to be? Um, and I think what they're going to try to do is get rid of the death penalty, and make this go away. I don't know. We'll see, but that's what I think, because if they got the death penalty for Patrick Crusius, who clearly they don't want anyone to see his mental health evaluation. Clearly, he has verbal problems. Clearly, he has mental problems. Clearly, if he is autistic, their fine motor skills would not allow him to do this kind of crime. Um, his hearing, the buzz in Walmart, the buzz from the freezers and the refrigerators. No wonder he had to put on the hearing protection. Um, but there's just so many. He would have to load more clips into his weapon. He would have to have been dirty. He would have had to been in a rage. He's never been in rage. He's never been in rage. He's never been spoken to by the judge. The judge has never said, Mr. Crucius, do you understand what I'm saying? Um, there's no conversation with Patrick Crucius ever. And even when the victims' families could address him, he was never allowed to speak, right? He was never allowed to speak. Can he speak? Because a lot of autistic individuals cannot speak. They're nonverbal. I would like to hear him speak. I would like to see his fine motor coordination skills. I would like to, ask him many, many different questions. I think this needs to be a trial. And from my point of view right now, my suspicions is that the crimes committed by Judge Medrano and Joe Spencer in this case are so egregious for millions of dollars, for pure greed, and also to cover up Richard Halliday's murder, and also the audits and what Richard was reporting, the criminal trafficking. Um, it's so egregious what they've done, and very sloppy, very sloppy. And I think that they are very afraid of the mental health evaluation interview, um, because Patrick might have been able to say some things to the interviewer, or the interviewer will say, well, he can't even talk. He can't even talk. I'd like to know if he's verbal, because has anybody, now this is a question that I want to ask to the public, has anybody ever seen Patrick Crusius talk? Has anybody ever seen the judge address Patrick Crusius? Like in a conversation? I mean, that's normal, and that's very, very important legally. That's very, very important. Um, and so there's a lot of questions there. And I just want to thank everyone for staying with us for so long and so late. Here it is, almost 1 o'clock in the morning again. So late, but it can't be helped. It's really, a lot of letters went out today, a lot of work went out today. And we've got to get to the bottom of this for our country. This is a national security threat for our soldiers, for our service members that have been used so badly by this criminal internal in the military, that are compromised with the cartel, okay, that are using our military volunteer sons and daughters so badly. And it's so bad that they know it, and that's why recruiting is so low. So I just want to thank everybody, and please share this information. And please share that we know that there is more evidence out there. That is huge, huge evidence. And, this article that we just posted, is part of that. So thank you so much. God bless you. And I will be